Thank you for staying with us. As tensions rise across West Africa's diplomatic and migrant communities, the federal government is calling for calm amid reports of the alleged deportation of Nigerians from Ghana. For many affected Nigerians, the reported eviction means more than relocation. It disrupts livelihood, separates families, and raises questions about the safety and dignity of citizens living abroad. In response, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says it has begun diplomatic engagement with Ghanaian authorities to verify the situation and ensure that Nigerian citizens are not subjected to unlawful treatment. The Nigerian High Commission in Accra has been directed to provide urgent consular support and gather verified reports from those affected while investigations continue. The government is urging Nigerians in Ghana to remain peaceful and law-abiding.
As diplomatic tensions rise across West Africa, reports of Nigerians allegedly being deported from Ghana have stirred deep concern. For many affected, this is not just relocation. It tears apart livelihoods, separates families, and raises critical questions about safety and dignity for citizens abroad. In response, Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced that it has opened diplomatic talks with Ghanaian authorities to verify the situation and ensure no Nigerian is subjected to unlawful treatment. The Nigerian High Commission in Accra has also been instructed to provide urgent consular support and gather verified accounts from those affected while investigations continue. The government has urged Nigerians in Ghana to remain peaceful and law-abiding while reaffirming its commitment to safeguarding the rights and welfare of its citizens. This development has also reignited historical memories. 42 years ago, in 1983, during the presidency of Shehu Shagari, Nigeria expelled undocumented immigrants, many of them Ghanaians. That episode gave birth to the infamous Ghana Must Go saga. Now, 4 decades later, the tables appear turned, with Nigerians at the center of a similar controversy. The question is, could the past shape the diplomatic postures of both countries today? Looking back even further in 1969, the Ghanaian government, at the height of an economic boom under the Busia era, passed legislation ordering foreign nationals to leave. That decision caused uproar, just as Nigeria's 1983 action did. Today, protesters in Ghana are demanding mass deportations of Nigerians. But legally, such an action would require legislative backing, otherwise it risks being deemed unlawful. Under ECOWAS law, Ghana signed the regional treaty in 1975 and ratified it in 1993, committing to economic integration, social cooperation, and the free movement of people, goods, and services. Article 3 of that treaty obliges member states to uphold these principles. If Ghana had wanted to exempt itself from such obligations, it could have done so when signing. This is not unlike the Schengen Agreement in Europe, where the UK opted out of free movement to maintain its own border controls. Yes, Ghana faces social challenges, and yes, some Nigerians may be involved in crimes such as fraud or prostitution, but every country has social issues. The real question is how institutions address them. To single out Nigerians broadly is unfair without verified data. How many have been arrested? How many are in prison? How many await trial? Without facts, it is wrong to brand an entire community as criminal. It is also important to note that porous borders and weak passport systems allow criminal elements from elsewhere to claim Nigerian identity, just as during the civil wars in Liberia and Sierra Leone, when individuals falsely presented themselves as Nigerians to obtain refugee status. That complexity makes blanket accusations even more problematic. Meanwhile, Nigerians abroad continue to face hostility, not just in Ghana, but in South Africa, the UAE, and even in dealings with Western embassies. At some point, Nigeria's government and parliament must sit down to confront the bigger picture. Why are so many citizens compelled to migrate? Is it economic hardship? Lack of opportunity? Because if a nation fails to provide opportunities at home, its people will naturally seek them elsewhere. The Vienna Convention also guarantees that foreign nationals in distress can access consular assistance. That is why the Nigerian High Commission's role is vital now, as xenophobic rhetoric in Ghana escalates. Yet many are asking, why is the Nigerian Senate so calm? Should the government rely on diplomacy alone, or consider stronger measures to protect its citizens? While retaliation may sound tempting, it is risky. History shows that when governments hesitate, Frustrated citizens take matters into their own hands, as seen during attacks on South African businesses in Nigeria after xenophobic violence there. This is why authorities are urging restraint. Still, the issue runs deeper than diplomacy. Nigeria must also look inward. What is pushing its people to leave? How can the country reduce the desperation that fuels mass migration? Globally, hostility toward migrants is not unique. In the UK, communities are protesting against refugees housed in hotels. In Spain, locals are voicing anger at British holidaymakers. In Germany, similar frustrations flare up after incidents involving foreigners. Around the world, migration and resentment walk hand in hand. This crisis is not only about Ghana and Nigeria, it is part of a global struggle over migration, dignity, and belonging.
And shifting focus now, another African nation has agreed to accept third country deportees from the United States. The latest joinee is Ghana, which is receiving West Africans deported under the Trump administration. Now, President John Mahama made the announcement. He said that his government was approached by Washington to accept third-party nationals removed from the U.S.
We were approached by the U.S. to accept third-party nationals who were being removed from the U.S. And we agreed with them that West African nationals, were acceptable because all our fellow West Africans don't need a visa to come to our country. So if they decided to travel from US to Accra, they don't need a visa anyway. So if you're bringing our colleague West Africans back, that's okay.
Mahama revealed that a first batch of 14 people had already arrived in Ghana. These included several Nigerians who have since returned to their home country, though he did not provide a timeline of when that occurred. Ghana also received one immigrant from Gambia. And Ghana, also a West African nation, already hosts many migrants from the region, which allows visa-free travel.
What is unfolding in Ghana is simply an extension of a much deeper problem. Nations need to sit down and examine the root causes of these tensions. What exactly is driving this, and how can it be solved? Take Nigeria, for example. Migration, when managed properly, contributes positively to any economy. Yet our own immigration framework is weak. Nigeria's Immigration Act is only about 55 pages long, hardly sufficient for a country of over 250 million people. Years ago, a CNN reporter exposed the flaws in our system when he obtained a Nigerian passport within an hour of arrival. That scandal led to the dismissal of officers who were later reinstated. Such loopholes expose the rot in our system. We also have the issue of passport offices springing up in estates where officers act more like passport merchants than civil servants. It is no wonder many who join the immigration service prefer to work at passport offices or airports. How long can we continue this way without a proper nationality act or stricter controls? Anyone can claim to be Nigerian, and the system will grant them papers without thorough checks. This institutional weakness is part of the bigger problem. But there is also responsibility on individuals. If Nigerians migrate to other countries, they must respect the laws of their host nations. What may be normal at home could be illegal abroad. For example, mistreating a vulnerable adult may not carry heavy consequences in Nigeria, but in other countries, CCTV surveillance and strict protective laws will land you in prison. Nigerians in Ghana must therefore abide by local rules. Yes, some bad apples exist, but many Nigerians in Ghana run shops, pay taxes, and contribute meaningfully to the economy. Painting all Nigerians with the same brush is unfair and dangerous. Still, Nigeria must also look inward. Porous borders allow anyone to walk in unchecked. Our Ministry of Interior must step up. There is an urgent need to create a dedicated ministry for migration and border security to properly manage entry, exit, and identity controls. Passport issuance should be treated as an administrative process, not a money-making machine for officers. Immigration officers should only intervene when fraud or abuse occurs.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has commenced an investigation into the activities of the Nigeria Immigration Service and its personnel over continuous passport racketeering and visa scams. Recall that early this year, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, made efforts to ensure prompt complete automation of passport applications. But many Nigerians still find this process rather tedious and stressful. with numerous complaints and petitions from Nigerians and foreign nationals regarding persistent passport visa scams involving the NIS. There are now discreet efforts from the EFCC to fish out the suspects. Isn't this coming a little too late from the EFCC to addressing this matter? Because this has been going on for quite a while, and Nigerians have raised concerns as to this issue, but now we are seeing some efforts being made. What's your interpretation of the steps being taken, and how has this rubbed off on our image as a country?
Well, if you say it's too little, too late, some of us will say better late than never.
Right.
So, and there's no point where you come in to stem crime that is too late. The fact is that at the end of the day, everyone and the society or the nation will be the better for it. You know, when I saw the news, I was quite elated because somehow the immigration has been associated with all kinds of racketeering, particularly when it comes to issuance of passports and related matters.
On the diplomatic side, both the Ghanaian and Nigerian ministers have tried to calm the situation, insisting there is no real crisis. But this goes beyond reassuring words. By now, we should have seen one minister fly to Accra for a roundtable discussion. Both sides must openly examine concerns and jointly craft solutions. ECOWAS already provides a framework. Ghana ratified the treaty in 1993, which guarantees free movement and non-discrimination among member states. If adjustments are needed, then call for a review or even a migration summit. But simply ignoring these obligations while fueling hostility is not the answer. Consider how the UK approached its frustrations with EU legislation. When it felt European laws were causing issues, it pursued Brexit. That was their way of reclaiming border control. Likewise, if Ghana or any other ECOWAS country feels integration is not working, there are legal processes to withdraw. Until then, obligations must be respected. Looking forward, we must prevent future repeats of this crisis. Ghana and Nigeria are far too close, geographically, culturally, and historically, for such disputes to poison relations. If I were Minister of Interior, my approach would begin with tightening Nigeria's systems, fixing border control, ensuring passports cannot be abused, and reducing the desperation that pushes people to migrate unlawfully. At the same time, Nigeria must support its citizens abroad, ensuring visas are processed fairly and that wrongful rejections are minimized. The truth is, Nigerians are already paying huge sums for visas, often only to be denied unfairly. That frustration drives desperation. Unless our government confronts both the internal weaknesses and the external diplomatic challenges, tensions like these will only keep resurfacing. So what do you think? How should Nigerian government solve the issue at hand with the Ghanaian government, and how can they make the two countries not suffer hate among each other or any other country in the continent?
For more information and for more news on the happenings in the political sector and the world globally, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more updates.